So this podcast is mainly for the person who wants to become a better person. So about 5 years ago, I decided to change my life. I decided to just be a better person because I realized it's easy to party, it's easy to waste money, it's easy to not really accomplish much in life. And honestly, it kind of feels good to relax. I also realized that every day is not promised. So it was like a conflict of interest, I guess you could say. But I can tell you a story on how I came to this conclusion that I honestly needed to change. So I was at work one day, and it was a usual day. When I was younger, I was an auto collision repair technician, but I was a beginner. I was good, but of course I was still becoming great, becoming who I am today. I had a good job at a good shop. I was making good money at that time, and I was very pleased with my position. I had goals that I accomplished, and I had goals that I set out to accomplish. Every day felt pretty good for me. I was with someone at that time. The person who I was with wasn't working, and it's not a personal thing. It's just kind of the situation that we were in. I came home one day. The person was watching TV, and it's not that I didn't like the fact that they were watching TV. It just kind of rubbed me the wrong way whenever I asked what they did all day, and their reply was basically to tell me every detail about this series that they were watching on Netflix. Honestly, I began to kind of get a little aggravated because this person told me a lot about something I felt was just wasn't important. At that point, I realized something. I was doing the exact same thing. The only difference was instead of being at home looking at TV, I was at work. So that didn't make it better. It just was a change of environment. It's what I was doing while I was at work that made me feel the way I felt. So while I was at work, I was a music connoisseur. I loved listening to music. That's just something that made my day go by quickly, and I could enjoy my day. I didn't realize until the moment that this entire time I was basically just, I guess, just letting my life go by. I wasn't advancing. Even though I felt like I had goals and I felt like I was accomplishing what I set out to accomplish professionally, mentally, emotionally, all of that stuff, I really wasn't fulfilling those needs, but I didn't even know it. So once I realized that I was somewhat coming down on this person for doing the exact same thing I was doing, I said, well, how can I change that? What can I do to not feel like I'm wasting my day while I'm being productive? I have to change something. So I realized that I was listening to music, and I realized that I knew all of the words to all of the songs, just like that person knew all of the characters and all of the plot twists and everything in the Netflix series. So I was like, I need to change that. I need to stop filling my brain up with useless information, recreational information. I need to swap that out for something. So I asked myself, first of all, how can I do that? And if I did do that, what would it be ultimately? What do I like? What do I enjoy outside of music? And the first thing that came to my mind was success. I love the thought of being successful. What else piques my interest? I had to answer science because I have this fascination with the universe, and I'm not going to get into it because this podcast will turn into a whole nother episode. But the fact that, it's 2026 as I speak, and it's so much about the ocean that we don't know, let alone the billions of tiny lights that you see in the sky, which are stars, which have planets, galaxies, man. It's like, some of these lights are galaxies. We live in a galaxy. Anyway, I'm doing it. So anyway, I apologize. Okay, let's get back on track. So science is success, right? So I caught myself trying to figure out how I could make myself better while I was working. I did what any other American would do. I grabbed my phone And I just opened up Google and simply put in those two words, science and success. Those two words, just to see what would happen. And Google gave me podcast. I had no clue what a podcast was. I had no clue it just never really crossed my mind. So this was 7 years ago, maybe, probably about 7 years ago now. I really didn't even know what a podcast was. So I clicked on it. Where music used to take up mind space, now I had this guy talking, and his voice was, but it was no enthusiasm. I did not enjoy listening to his voice, just to be honest with you. You might say the same thing about me, but instantly I did not want to listen to that. So I was discouraged. I was like, what am I doing? And before I could turn it off, my boss man came in there. So, I had to get back working. I had to get back moving. So I had my headphones in, but I had to get back moving. I'm listening, but not really listening because it's playing in my ear, but it's more of a dissonance. So I'm going along and something was said that really made me stop in my tracks. That really made me realize, okay, I'm on to something right now. This is different. And I can't really quote it, but it was something along the lines of real life superhuman powers. Have you ever wanted to be a superhuman? And I'm thinking that's a great question. Everybody wants to be some type of superhero. If you don't want to be a superhero, you're lying. Everybody wants, what power do you want? I don't want to be invisible so I can rob a bank. Everybody has their own little, wish. So that caught my attention. So obviously I had to understand whatever the heck he was about to say next. It was a technique that he taught that was a quote unquote superpower. But of course it didn't make you fly. You didn't turn invisible. It was just a way in which to make you successful. It was like a hack. It was one thing that you can change about yourself ultimately that will instantly put you on a path to success. And when I heard this technique, man, at a snap of the fingers, it changed my life. Not a joke. I was an instant changed man. For one, I had no more, I did not want to listen to music any longer while I was at work. That was over with. Now, I wanted to learn. And it was an amazing point in my life because I traded my fun for education. And it felt good. And I did it so much that it went back to recreation. And that's when I realized that I leveled up. At that moment, I realized I am on another level. Because I used to go to work and I used to listen to music and I used to memorize music. Now I go to work and I listen to Harvard professors, people who have spent more than half of their life learning. Talk about anything that I can imagine, anything that I want to know about. I was listening to this and it over time became fun. This was my recreation, man. So it was easy. You know how they say, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. It was something along the lines of that, honestly. But I was working. And while I was working very efficiently, I was learning at the same time. So I began to build this habit of podcasts. So, but I'm the type of person, personally, I stick to one thing. I'm not really a jumper, So what I mean by that is I found one podcast and I liked it. And I didn't really stray from that podcast for months at a time. I would find episodes that I really like and I would play them over and over. I mean, like 40 times, one episode, because I couldn't necessarily listen, but I understood that my mind was hearing it. And how I knew this is I could recall things that I didn't even know I could recall mid-conversation with people. I'm explaining them something I didn't even know I knew about. And I'm like, whoa, okay. So I am retaining information. And I also learned how I retain information by by the way. So at this point, I wanted more. And the science to success ended up being the podcast. So you can look it up if you want to. Shout out to them. This is not endorsed, but I honestly started out with the science to success. And it is a very, very, very good podcast. It is very good in so many ways. But I wanted more. So I decided to look for the other half of my interest, and that's science. So that's when I discovered the great Neil deGrasse Tyson. He has a podcast named Star Talk, and it's so dope. I went from listening to music, learning all the words, to listening to podcasts. So whenever I started listening to two podcasts, I then had a recreational podcast and I had an educational podcast. Being that I'm a human being, I must have fun. Fun, pleasure is a necessity to keep your mental stable. You can't just be all work, all learning all the time. You have to have some release. Just so happened, and this is the craziest coincidence, my recreation, my fun was learning as well. Now, I couldn't necessarily apply what I was learning about space and multiverses. And I mean, it's so much, I couldn't really apply that to my main goal in being successful in life. Like it wasn't, but it was something that was making me smarter in a sense. I was learning something. I wasn't wasting mind space. Not to mention, Star Talk is not just about space. It's primarily about space, but it has a lot of different categories that you can learn from. I went from listening to music again to listening to one podcast, always learning, to splitting up that time to listening to a recreational podcast and still having my learning podcast. Over the course of time, this is who I became. And I started to realize so many things about myself, a lot of different things about myself and things that I needed to change if I wanted to live the life that I wanted to live. I had to change some things. So I started doing that. This has been episode 2. Episode 3 is going to take us into the chapter of my life where I started to implement everything I've learned from podcasts. I'm going to tell you what I learned and how I applied it to my life to make me a better person. Because I feel like that's the reason why you're listening to this podcast.